Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful Friday, April 26, 2024. Coming up in episode 274 of the Crusty podcast. That's right, it's Friday. Commies and the plastic panic. Panic. That's right. More commies are speaking out in the streets of Canada. And of course, a big plastic panic summit that was going on in Ottawa this week. All that and more come up the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Please stick around. Listener viewer discretion is advised because I do like to swear and I smoke cigarettes and make funny faces at leaders and people that just really fucking annoy me. All that and more. Cheers.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 274 of the Crusty Canuck podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and thank you all again for the wonderful comments I've had in the past couple of days since my last episode. Thank you, and a lot of the new views, all that good stuff. So please give yourselves a good round of applause there. A lot of you guys are awesome. Yeah. Before I forget, this episode is also brought to you in part by and supported by the Veterans for Freedom Network. Stand to Veterans for Freedom. That's right. And pay attention to the internet over the next few months. You'll be seeing Veterans for Freedom TV. Stand to. That's right. Yours truly will have a show on that, hopefully in the future. So please pay attention to that too. And if you like and hear what you see, please click like, subscribe, share this content all over your social media platforms too. Help us Canucks get our algorithm out there so other Canadians and other like-minded individuals around the globe can get insight from a Canadian veteran's point of view, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and thank you all once again for showing up and being here on this beautiful Friday evening. It's been a pretty busy work week. Things are getting a little hectic, but bills are getting paid, getting ahead. And I want to say a thank you to a Sean out there who gave me a lovely donation the other day. Thank you very much, Sean. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Helped me put some gas in my tank this week and helped out with a couple extra little trinkets and stuff that I needed to work with today. So thank you once again, Sean. You're awesome. Great guy. So if you feel like donating, ladies and gentlemen, links will be in the description for you. So anyway, like the title card says, commies and plastic panic. Now, I was just surfing the net there today as I was working. I listen to a lot of podcasts, music, commentary as I'm working too. I drive a truck some days where I'm feeding cattle, and it helps to listen to other people's perspectives and stuff rather than listening to the hum of the engine and all that good stuff. It gets kind of boring and kind of hypnotic. Needless to say, though, I come across this this little tidbit that came from some commie kid. It was on my I was on the Veterans for Freedom page on Instagram. I'll cue this up for you here shortly. Basically, it seems like this communism is still prevailing after all the bullshit that's been going on the past couple of years with the pandemic, jibby jabs, censorship, people that want this, people want that. You can see the useful idiots out in full swing, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the individuals out there claiming that this so-called communist utopia is a good thing and that Karl Marx was just misunderstood and Joseph Stalin was just misunderstood and Pol Pot and Mao Zedong were just misunderstood individuals, even though they killed fucking millions. But what do I know, right? I've had somebody say to me, "You've only got high school history. What else do you know?" And it's like, well, high school history, plus people that used to live in the former Eastern Bloc, people that lived under tyrannical rule, and people that actually fought some real commies. That's my background when it comes to understanding the whole tyranny and the whole projected so-called utopia of what these kids try to promote. Yet when you look at some of these kids that are promoting all these proletariats and all the socialist ideas and all this, come together, kumbaya, and give us your money, I don't think they've ever actually embraced a hard day's work in their lives. Okay, firstly, they have poor hygiene. Secondly, they could not formulate an actual debate if you paid them to do it. And some of the commies I've engaged on the formerly Twitter and now X feed, some of them are saying, well, if you want us to move to these foreign countries and live the communist lifestyle, how about you give us money? Shake my head and just go, oh, okay. Well, get off your ass and make your own money to go move to these countries and see how utopic it really is. I highly suggest you talk to people that fled North Korea and fled Vietnam during the war years. And how about those individuals that have actually put together half-assed rafts and drifted into Florida for freedom? And then when you're done doing that, talk to people that fled former Eastern Bloc countries and what was left of said Eastern Bloc countries when they did return after perestroika and glasnost came through. Okay. See, there's some key words there, ladies and gentlemen, for you to look at, especially my younger audience out there too. But I'm not trying to be condescending here, but we all know communism failed. It did. You know, if you got 10 people living on an island and it's a matter of survival, then that whole commune idea could work because it's all about survival, getting along, getting ahead. But if you got 10,000 people living in a town and they all want to work here and work there and try to get ahead by their own means, well, that's where you get a problem. People like to make money. People like to advance. People like to get ahead. People like to earn things and merit to the next level, right? They don't want their lives dictated to them by some kind of soy boy or soy girl who can't decide where to fucking pee. You know what I mean? So when you listen to these kids protest and talk about imperialism and sensationalism and colonialism, what do you think the Soviet Union was? Do you think it was utopic? There are people to this day that are still alive that think it was a great system, probably because they actually had some perks and privileges based on their stance in the party, or how well they kissed ass, or how many people they ratted on to get ahead. Right? Something to think about. They've also had some perks and privileges because they've stolen something or they've done something terrible to somebody else, right? All in the name of the party, right? So when I see these kids protest to talk about colonialism, they talk about imperialism. What was Russia doing at the time when they became the Soviet bloc? They became Soviet Union, and they took this and took that and all that good stuff, yes, and told you what to shit, what to smoke, what to pick your nose, how much fruit you can buy, how much bread you might have, how much bread you might not have, how much anesthetic do you have when you get your teeth done by the state to make you feel good, comrade, yes. So when these kids protest and gallivant around, talk about the unfairness and the inequality, I guess they never really paid attention to Animal Farm, right? I don't even think they ever read Animal Farm, you know, where the pigs sided with the humans to be more equal than the rest of the barnyard animals, right? You know, they already had the common good. They all lived in the barn and they all worked together by their own means, you know, all had their job according to their species. And now the pigs got higher on the pecking order for some reason. Interesting. So it puts that in perspective, right? There's a short read. So to any kids out there that want to wave the hammer and sickle, take out your pickle, read fucking Animal Farm. You might get some insight, you know. But then again, you know, it's going to take, you know, someone to give you a good punch in the face before you start waking up to that, you know, that mojo.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, you're back to the Crusty Canuck Podcast, episode 274 for this lovely 26th of April, 2024. Commies and the Plastic Panic. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. And if you like to hear what you see, please click like and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Share this content all over your social media platforms if you can to help us Canucks, especially us Canuck veterans, get our words out there to keep the algorithm going. So they cannot really promote this Bill 263 that might be coming through the House of Commons sometime soon. Anyhow, we've all talked about the budget. We've all talked about the BS. We've all talked about the capital gains issues, which is really going to screw a lot of people over, not just doctors, not just boomers, but people who own any property who want to sell it, or people who might want to give it to their children as an inheritance. So basically, it's just a tax that's going to screw middle-class people, that's going to screw other middle-class people too. Anyway, check out the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. They've got some great insight on that too in their recent podcast. Chris Sims, Franco Tetrazzano, sorry, do a great job breaking everything down. If I'll leave a link in my description for you guys to follow. But anyhow, as the title card said, Commies and the Plastic Panic. So I'm going to queue up a video here, ladies and gentlemen, from Instagram of some commie kid. Excuse me, sorry, too much cigarettes. Of some commie kid talking about his proletariat and how there's dozens of people coming together for their little cause. Oh, it sounds like a party. And they're going to take cum shots at each other. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I know that's disgusting. I'm sorry, but I'm just speaking my mind here, ladies and gentlemen. Right? So I'll just cue this up here for you, kids. You know, I'm not going to tell you how to suck eggs or anything, but you just listen to this BS of this little child who's talking about this stuff, how he's thinking he's doing the whole world a favor, when in reality, you know, he's not doing a damn thing for anybody, anyone, anywhere, anyhow. So adjust your visual, your picture accordingly. However, I just listened to this kid and I'm just like, wow, holy cow. You know, some people's kids, eh? So viewer discretion is advised because, you know, he's just an idiot. Anyway, listen up to your leisure.
Last week, communists from across the country took to the streets under the red banner of communism. Vancouver, Victoria, Toronto, Ottawa, Edmonton, Montreal, Quebec City, and Sherbrooke.
We are building this party to overthrow Canadian imperialism.
Now, that one guy with the speakerphone and the black and white picture there, overthrow Canadian imperialism. Oh my goodness. You know, and this kid's trying to say, a subtitle underneath says, people honked in support and filmed us, and
people honked in support, filmed us, and some even joined in on the marches. In the days since, we've had dozens of communists across Canada.
Now, he said in the days since their marches, they've had dozens of them. Dozens. So that could be 24, could be 36. We'll say 36 for shits and giggles. So we'll say 36 people call them up and say, hey, can I join your group? Oh, boy, it sounds like fun.
Right into us and ask if they can join the RCP. This is only the beginning. Last weekend shows the incredible potential that exists in this country for a mass revolutionary.
Okay, for a mass revolutionary communist party. So this kid's trying to promote a mass revolution, you know, probably in the name of comfort. Right? Well, he needs a goddamn comb for starters.
Communist Party. We need to harness this potential and organize it.
Okay, they need to harness this potential and organize into a mass fighting force. Buddy, I don't think you could fucking fight your way to a wet paper bag. I don't think you could guide and fight anything to a toilet, let alone a poop.
Into a mass fighting force. This is why we need every communist from the biggest city to the smallest town to build a communist cell where you live and work. And this May, we are all coming together to discuss how we will overthrow this fucked up system once and for all at the founding Congress of the RCP in Montreal. So join us and build the forces of communism wherever you are and help us found the RCP this May. Together, we will win.
No, buddy, you won't win. Because I'll tell you this right now, you're going to have such resistance. You're going to have a lot of resistance because guys like me, a few other lads I know, you know, my parents, my sister's friends, and their two friends, and they'll tell two friends. Basically, every sane human being in this country that wants to be left the hell alone, that wants to keep their money, that wants to see progress prevail, that wants to see things get ahead, will be against you. Now, if there happens to be any commies that might be watching this, you know, on their capitalist laptop while drinking their capitalist coffee, while shaking their capitalist boots and shaking their capitalist booty in front of their girlfriends or boyfriends or whoever identifies as a goddamn fire hydrant, I challenge you again. See, I've been challenging a lot of people lately, and this is great. Okay. I want you to prove to me how your proletariat is going to save this country. Okay. I bet you can't. Secondly, if any kind of communist manifesto or any kind of fascist manifesto, now you understand communism and fascism are slightly different, but they're both based on socialism. Thing is, with fascism, you get more corporate interest involved, but you're still told what to do, what you can do, what you can't do, what you can buy, what you can't buy, blah, 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 blah. Same as communism. Okay. And people go missing in the night under both factions. So to you kids out there that want to wave their hammer and sickle and tickle your pickle, you know, with someone else's money, think about that. Okay. Think long and hard, because you want to organize a fighting force and challenge people to a duel or a fight. you're going to fucking lose.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And you're back, ladies and gentlemen, episode 274, Commies and the Plastic Panic. That's right. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again to all those kind comments and subscribers I've had the past couple of days. Thank you. You guys are awesome. I want to thank my new subscribers that have discovered me in Britain, Israel, I think a couple of Nigeria, too, that I've noticed lately, too. My American friends, thank you very much. To my American Army buddies, to my American Marine buddies, hoo-ah and oorah. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Right. Anyhow, just communists everywhere. Oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Stand our ground as we should, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, carrying with this episode, the plastic panic. I'm done with commies. I will debate these kids till I'm blue in the face, and they still won't get it because they want handouts to be looked after and someone to tickle them while they sleep. But that's not my job. That's someone other pervert's job. Anyhow, there's a thing here from the CBC about the Summit on Curbing Global Plastics. Now, from what I understand, Stephen Guilbeault, Mr. Environment Minister, Mr. Criminal, Mr. BS, Mr. Trudeau puppet, and all this stuff. Now he's on this crusade to have plastics registered. So I'm assuming that if you've got Tupperware or any kind of containers, you got to register it. He's especially going to go after businesses too that use plastic, like restaurants and stuff, when they bring in grease for your fryers or bring in food goods or some perishable goods, depending on the type of restaurant you have too. He wants a registry. Make a long story short, all these big wigs under the UN, under the guise of the UN, coming together and having these summits for the sake of what we're going to do about the world plastic crisis. Now, there's still people in these groups that still believe that there's this giant plastic island floating around in the Pacific someplace, because of all the plastic waste and all these microplastics they keep talking about. Okay, they get into here, get into there. Babies born with it, apparently they're finding it in umbilical cords. They're finding it in lungs and airways. They're finding it all over the human body. That's killing people. What are we going to do? Honestly, what are we going to do?
Absolutely nothing.
That's not doing anything at all. This hurts people, but I pay for it. I'm hurting myself. That's my fucking right to. Okay. When it comes to plastics, recording, our computers, my soundboard, my toque has acrylics in it, the microphone, my landline, everything else has plastics. Everything in our daily lives has plastics. And they have to get together and have a summit to see what we can do to curb all this stuff too. So it's funny how we have all these summits coming around the past 10 years. You got the WEF, World Economic Forum, with Klaus Schwab and his Schwabstika, Goose-stepping pals, right? Jawohl. And then you got prime ministers that are kissing his royal ass for the sake of what? Oh, please, Klaus, give me some money. I'll do the important things for you too. I'll sell out my country and my people for the sake of your world vision, right? And now you got these summiteers talking about the world plastic crisis. We have to find ways to do this. We have to find ways to do that. Recycle. Like, it's just a con, ladies and gentlemen. It's just more shit to throw at us to get us scared again. Remember how the world paid attention to that little girl with the pigtails? Well, she's not a little girl anymore. She's a full-grown adult woman who's been arrested recently. Saying, how dare you? Right? And yet, how much of her lifestyle has been enhanced by the use of plastic? And what gets me especially is when these individuals talk about single-use plastic, like the forks you get at restaurants, bags you used to be able to get, right? And they talk about how we have to get rid of it. And yet, how many single-use plastics are involved in major industry and in the medical profession? People that are hooked up to breathers after a heart attack, or people who need certain tubes and tools to get the job done during open heart surgery or any kind of life-saving surgery. How many pieces of one-use plastic or single-use plastic are used in those procedures on a daily basis? Something to think about, right? So think really, really long and hard how these individuals think about us, think about anything other than themselves when it comes to these summits. I think it's a con. It's always been a con. The carbon tax is a con. It is a real con. Don't tell me because I live in Alberta and if I'm paying $2,900 a year, okay, and I get $1,800 back, that means there's more money in my pocket. How is $1,800 more than $2,900? Really? How is it? Huh? It's not. It's grade 3 fucking mathematics. And we have elected officials that keep saying, it's more, I tell you, it's more. You know, you're holding up 4 fingers. You are, and you'll like it. Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, here's this video from the CBC on their summit. Now, I don't usually put a lot of videos up from the CBC, but you can see the contrast. And I highly suggest my wonderful audience out there, you check out Rebel Media, some of their coverage over these summits, over these UN delegations, and really, really go through it with a fine-tooth comb. My wonderful audience out there, you guys are smarter than these clowns, but really think for yourselves and just see the perspectives and the fear, especially the Canadian MSM is trying to promote on us on a goddamn daily level. Oh, and by the way, too, because of the new budget, CBC is probably going to get an extra $42 million this year. Got to get those bonuses out, right? Oh, of course. Let's get this bonus out and make everyone happy because it's just one big happy broadcast family. Yeah. Score. But you decide, ladies and gentlemen.
In Ottawa, thousands of delegates and observers from 176 countries are in the nation's capital. They're going to try to hammer out the text of a UN treaty to curb global plastic waste. This is the 4th in a series of 5 global negotiations, and delegates hope to conclude this later this year in South Korea with a finished treaty. Covering all of it for us in Ottawa is our international climate correspondent, Susan Ormiston. She's live with me this morning. And Susan, great to see you on this. Maybe we talked yesterday about how people were beginning to gather. First full day of discussions. What is going to be happening?
Check out the signage. Plastic pollution is killing us. Please stop it. Oh, my God.
There at the conference today.
Well, a lot. These are the start negotiations on this really what could be an historic treaty to try to curb plastic pollution across the world. They have a deadline of the end of this year in Korea, as you mentioned. So there's a lot of work to be done to narrow down the list of 70 pages of demands to a refined list of what they're really going after. And they're talking about things like, you know, making recycling work better, about designing products that will be recycled more easily, about banning the worst offenders of single-use plastic. And one of the key sticking points here, though, the red line for some countries, oil-producing countries, is whether this agreement will include efforts to cut plastic production at the source, sometimes called production caps. And you can see, well, you could see this poster here, plastics is poisoning.
Okay, look at that art in the corner there, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that art. Okay. You know, plastic pollution is killing us. Plastic pollution is hurtful. Here's a demonstration of all this waste we're going to put on display for you. You make a nice piece of art out of it. You know, they could have made something viable out of all that art. But hey, sorry.
Us cut production now. So there's pressure on these negotiators to include that. We spoke to Canada's Environment and Climate Change Minister, Stephen Guilbeault. Sequential talks. Here's what he said.
So the idea is not to say we'll ban.
Oh, that's a pretty snazzy suit there, Stephen. Is that what they call famine? Oh, my.
And the use of plastics. But we have to make sure that we ban those that can't be recycled or that are very harmful, and that those we continue using, we keep in the economy and out of the environment and out of the human bodies. Just coming out and saying, well, we want to put a cap on plastics. Which plastics? All plastics, including the ones we would use in the medical sector, in the EV sector, in the renewable energy sector. I don't think it makes sense right now.
So that is Canada's Environment and Climate Change Minister, Stephen Guilbeault, who's going to be holding an announcement later on today. And we'll be listening in as he makes another announcement further to that plastics registry announced yesterday. Back to Susan, who's live. Susan, we're just seeing over your shoulder, there's that sculpture done by a Canadian artist, kind of speaks to what they're trying to accomplish.
Okay, check out the kids lying down, interpretive dance or something. Oh, we're not going to die. Please feel sorry for me as I wear my acrylics. And I'll go home to my plastic coffee table, my plastic chair, and I'll turn my plastic TV and really vent properly on my plastic PC or laptop.
Inside, tell us about the scene and I guess more what's riding on these negotiations as they try to make history with this treaty.
We're outside the convention center here in Ottawa, and you mentioned there's a great flow of plastic from a tap here. You can see all the garbage we're pretty familiar with if you've ever looked in your recycling box lately. And I mean, this is a infinitesimal small indication art installation of the size of plastic plastic pollution. We are talking about millions of tons going into our oceans, lakes, and rivers every year. And Heather, the predictions are that this kind of is going to triple by 2040. And that's why this conference is so important. The stakes are pretty high. Production of plastic is growing, so is the pollution problem. And the world has agreed to try to get at it, to try to curb it by the end of this year. So this is the fourth of fifth negotiations here in Ottawa. If it's successful, they will carry forward text of an agreement to Korea in November and December and hopefully reach some kind of agreement. But there are many contentious issues. The scope of this, one thing is clear. Everybody here agrees now that recycling is not the way out of what some people called a mess that we've created. It simply can't keep up. So there has to be new rules around design, about what plastics, and of course about whether, in fact, we do try to curb some of the most offensive single-use plastics. So a pretty interesting series of negotiations here. It goes all week. And the real, tension will come over the weekend and into next Monday, Heather.
Susan, really appreciate it. And of course, we look forward to your reporting from there in Ottawa. Our international climate correspondent, Susan Ormiston, with the stakes and the substance of these talks.
Okay, that's just sad. I mean, really. Okay. Like I said, I believe in free speech. Everyone has a right to speak their mind, do what they want to do. By all means, go out and protest all this too. But like those individuals lying on the ground, oh my God, you're going to kill all these creatures. Everyone's seen that video of that little turtle that had the straw pulled out of its nose. Okay. It's not like millions of turtles are going to die. Animals do die because of humans, and some humans die because of animals too. Cycle of life. I'm not going to condemn anybody who wants to put an end to pollution. By all means, there are pollutions out there. There's a lot of industrial pollution, and sometimes there's other pollutions. Somebody gets ignorant and throws a cup on the ground or throws a wrapper on the ground. Okay, pick it up, throw in the trash. Shit simple. We were taught this crap as children, yet we still have to put up with childlike minds calling the shots for us. And you notice when Stephen Guilbeault was there with his little pink thumb and thute, that little button he had in his chest, WEF colors. So that gives you insight. That gives you incentive right there, what exactly he's up to. I don't care how you feel about the trees. I like the trees. I like rivers. I like this. I like that. But I also like common sense and pragmatism. There are ways we can fix problems without robbing people blind, or without turning to the Communist Manifesto, or turning to the Socialist Manifesto, or just going to town hall meetings with your the alphabet colors, screaming to high heavens. Dialogue, proper dialogue, without any agendas. Okay, we got to get rid of these agendas. It's that simple, but it's so hard too, right? Now, regardless of who's listening to this podcast or not, ladies and gentlemen, you, my wonderful audience, I count on you to do the right thing. What is right for you and your family? What is right for you in your community? What is right for you in your state or province? Or what's right for you in your country? Democracy, for starters, worth defending. Doesn't matter how imperfect it is. It's a hell of a lot better than what that kid in the beginning of the video was talking about his fighting force. I don't think that kid could fight his way to a wet paper bag. I think he'd cry home to his mama and say, "Mama, some guy hit me." And if his mama had any common sense, you probably deserved it, you little shit. Right? When you hear these individuals talking about plastic waste, yeah, we should curb pollution, but not at the expense of every working class Canadian, not at the expense of every working class American, or every working class English person or Scottish person or Irish person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? If you want to make a real change in the environment, then like they used to tell us back in the 80s, think globally, act locally. Okay. Look, manage your own waste. Clean your own room. Interesting, eh? Start with yourself. And don't let these ass clowns dictate to you or me what we should think about and how we should do it. It's that simple. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 274 of the Crusty podcast. Commies and plastic panic. Panic. That's right. There's a tally code for it, too. That little picture there is from an Ontario Communist Party, I think, that was taken this past summer. You know, all these misguided youths being told what to do, what to think, because they want someone to wipe their asses for them. Anyhow, like I say, this has been episode 274 of Crusty podcast. Stick around. I'll be around again this Sunday. Sorry. I had a long day at work. I'll be around again this Sunday evening, hopefully with a little more information, a little more details, a little more graphics for you anyway. But if you'd like to hear what you see, please click like and subscribe. Share this podcast all over your social media platforms. If you feel like donating, please donate. Links will be in the description for you to follow at your leisure. Highly recommend using the Ask Me link that I recently put up there a few weeks ago. You can ask me a question, a detailed question. I'll give you an answer. It'll only cost you $3. So, and it goes to a good cause. It helps my podcast out too. And I will give to charity once I make enough too, ladies and gentlemen. So keep that in mind. I'm not trying to rip anybody off, but if you want to donate, donate, please do. Once again, thank you, Sean, for that donation. Gratefully appreciated, my friend. Hope you moved to Alberta successfully. And everybody else there too, thank you for the warm comments and gestures I've been receiving the past couple of days too. And thank you once again to all the people that have viewed my last 4 videos. I see viewership's going up, but I'm not seeing too many comments. So if you can, please comment, give me a like, give me your point of view, all that stuff too. And based on my last suggestion on my last video, no one's challenged me in a debate just yet. I've had one person disagree with me, but he never answered me back. So let's just say he's a wimp and he's not worth my time. Okay. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning into this episode. Like I always say, do what you can, help you out in these trying times. Do not let the light go from this manufactured darkness. We can find the light in this manufactured darkness. Do what you can, help each other out. Look after your friends, neighbors, and your loved ones. Take a stand for what's right and what's real. And like I always say, ladies and gentlemen, humanity merit wins the day. Take care, and I'll see you on Sunday. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Communism failed. Mama said so. So did Russia. So did Romania. Well, you know what I mean. Just don't bother forward, kids. Wake up, smell the coffee, start living your lives. Bye for now.